A Deadly Mistake, Calamities, Lesson 12. Iran Air Captain Mohan Realzan sat calmly in the cockpit of his giant Airbus, checking his instrument panel. Flight 655 was scheduled to fly from Iran south over the Persian Gulf to the United Arab Emirates. The flight was, in the jargon of airline pilots, a milk run. In other words, it would be a short, easy hop. There would be 290 people aboard, including R and his crew. At 9:47 a.m., on July 3, 1988, the Airbus took off from Bandar Abbas Airport. 7 minutes later, Riazan reached his first checkpoint over the Persian Gulf. He radioed his position back to the control tower in Iran. "Everything looks smooth and calm. Have a nice day," the control tower radioed back. "Thank you, good day," answered Riazan. The captain had no idea he and everyone else on the plane would be dead in just a few seconds. The Persian Gulf region had been in turmoil for years. In 1988, Iran and Iraq were in the 8th and final year of a bloody war. At stake in the conflict was control of shipping lanes through which half of the world's imported oil passed every day. Massive oil tankers steamed through the narrow Strait of Hormuz at the tip of the Persian Gulf. Iranian gunboats often fired on tankers going to and from Kuwait, Iraq's closest ally. The United States did not take sides in this war. Still, several U.S. Navy warships patrolled the Persian Gulf. Their job was to ensure that the vital sea lanes stayed open to peaceful traffic. The United States also wanted to protect its Arab friends in the region from any hostile moves by Iran or Iraq. Early on July 3, however, trouble began brewing. The warship USS Vincennes, under the command of Captain Will Rogers III, was chasing some Iranian gunboats. These boats posed no threat to the ship. The Vincennes was a state-of-the-art cruiser. Rogers felt that other dangers might be lurking, and tensions ran high on the Vincennes. The crew knew a year earlier an Iraqi missile had slammed into the USS Stark, killing 37 sailors. The attack had been a mistake. A lone Iraqi pilot had accidentally launched a missile that hit the ship. Captain Rogers was not about to let something like that happen to his ship. The billion-dollar Vincennes was equipped with an Aegis weapons system. This system was a complex network of radar and computers. It was built to fight the Soviet Union's warships, not dinky gunboats. The system could track up to 200 incoming planes and missiles at one time. Earlier, in training drills, Rogers often went beyond the rules of the drill to show off the ship's high-tech equipment. One officer jokingly called the Vincennes Robo-Cruiser. The name stuck. Privately, some officers thought Rogers was a bit trigger-happy. They felt he was too anxious to show his skill in a real battle, something he had never taken part in. At 9:41 a.m., 6 minutes before Flight 655 took off, Rogers saw high-speed Iranian gunboats headed his way. He felt sure they were up to no good. Earlier that day, higher officials had told Rogers to avoid contact with the gunboats. Now there seemed to be a clear emergency, so officials let Rogers make decisions on the spot. Rogers went after the gunboats and opened fire on them. Meanwhile, in the Vincennes war room, the Aegis computer screens flashed out signals. The computers could track all planes within a 300-mile radius. They tagged each plane with a symbol that indicated friendly, hostile, or unidentified. The Aegis spewed out so much data it was hard for the crew to make sense of it. For the moment, Rogers wasn't looking for planes. He was concentrating on the gunboats. Then, at 9:47, the Aegis picked up a blip showing something taking off from Iran. It was, as would be discovered later, Iran Air Flight 655. But in the confusion of the war room, the men weren't sure what it was. One officer checked his schedule of all commercial flights over the Gulf. Somehow, in the darkness of the war room, and with 4 different time zones to check, he missed the listing for Flight 655. A chilling question arose. Could the Blit be a combat jet, or perhaps a patrol plane that would coordinate an attack on the Vincennes? The Aegis sent radio messages to the Airbus asking it to identify itself. Was it friend or foe? The first signal the Aegis got back showed that the plane was a commercial airliner. These signals are sent automatically and don't require any response from the pilot. Later, a second signal came in. This one most likely came from a military plane still on the runway back in Iran. The crew from the Vincennes misread the new signal, however. They concluded the Airbus was in fact a military plane. Rogers and his men now viewed Flight 655 with suspicion. Was it a hostile aircraft? At 9:51 a.m., the Airbus, climbing peacefully to its cruising altitude, was 32 miles away.